Greetings, everyone. I am back, and this is installment number 3 of the greatest love story journey, our son to a mama. For those of you who don't know yet, I am attempting to tell the greatest love story ever told from a son to and about his mama. I recently lost my mother on July 6th, 2025. We had her homegoing celebration on July 11th, 2025, and we buried her earthly remains on July 24th, 2025. Today is Sunday, July 27th. And this is, like I said, the third installment of me doing my best to tell this great love story. I'm doing it in the oral tradition. And in addition to honoring my mother's contribution to my life and to the life of my family, I'm also trying to help those persons who are dealing with significant loss. And just to give you some context, it wasn't just my mother that I lost. Actually, as I was on the way in town on June 14th, we got the news that she was going into hospice on June 12th. I was headed into town early morning of Saturday, June 14th. As I was headed into town, I got the notification that there was a death in the family, the daughter of my first cousin. So in DNA, it was my first cousin's daughter, my second cousin, but in relationship, it was like my niece. My family is a very close knit family. All of us are immediate family. So anytime there's a hit, the hit affects all of us very closely. So that happened on June 14th. Um, I believe it was just a week before my mother passed away. We had my cousin's funeral that Monday, and then Sunday, the following Sunday, my mom passed away. And this morning, Sunday, July 27th, I had an aunt, my father's youngest living sister. She passed away in Maryland this morning. And so my family is hit yet again with that devastation. And I have another aunt and an elderly aunt who is not doing very well. So I'm just telling this to give you a little context to what I'm telling you here about significant loss. My family is experiencing much of that right now. Thank God that we are believers. And when you are a believer, um, it takes the sting, some of the sting out of these losses, because we know that death on this side is not final. And we know that believers, we have a victory lap after we say farewell to everybody on this side of life. There is another place for us. Jesus has already let us know that he secured that place. And if you go to John 14 and read those first few verses, you see that he told us to don't be troubled and don't fear, that if you believe in God, believe also in me. He said that he's prepared a place for us in his father's house where there are many mansions. And he told us that if you prepare a place for us, that he'll come back for us and get us where he is, we shall also be. We know that to be absent from the body here is to be present with the Lord. So we have some solace when we have loved ones who are no longer present with us here. We know that to live is Christ and to die is gain. Now, even though we know that on the spiritual side, in the flesh, the human part of us still hurts when we have significant loss. And so, to my family members who are yet hurting, I want to say that I love you. I'm praying with you. I'm walking with you. We are walking out this journey together. For those of you who are still hurting for the loss of Chris, my dear cousin, I'm with you. I love you. Walking this journey with you. For those of you who were severely affected by the loss of my mother, Agnes Marion Copeland, God bless you, Sister Beverly. I know that you're yet walking with me and my siblings, and we thank God for you. I talked to my cousin Donna this afternoon, who is the daughter of my Aunt Phyllis, who passed away this morning. And she knows, because I have told her that I'm yet walking with her. What I just went through, she now has to go through. And so we're leaning on each other. These are significant losses. And the cruel part about life is life goes on. There's not a big clock that stops when we have these losses. We have to try to find some semblance of normalcy after this. But the thing is, we have to find a new normal, because we're not used to going on without these very significant people in our lives. And so we do the best that we can. All right. And I wanted to set up today's story about my mom, just expressing that. And once again, I hope that as I'm having these fireside chats, if you would, about my mother, I hope that is helping you to deal with the significant loss of your own. Tonight, I want to tell this portion of the story about my mom. My mom was a living, breathing miracle. Several times in my adult life, and even one time that I remember in my adolescence, my mother was very near death. And by the definitions of medical science and the several doctors and nurses that we have encountered along her medical journey, we've been told that there's really nothing else that medical science can do. Everything has been exhausted that medical science had the capability to do, and that we just had to plan for end of life. We had been told that many times before we had been told that the last time. And each time, Mama miraculously bounced back to the point where we dubbed her the bounce back queen. Now, we always knew that at some point, natural life would be over. At some point, something would come that she could not bounce back from. We all knew that at some point we had to say our final farewells to her on this side. And, only God knows the day and the hour. We just have to bow to his will and his way and his decisions, knowing that God makes no mistakes. But in that, God used my mom to show his tremendous power and kindness in the way of miracle healing. So much was taught to me. Now, I dare not speak for all of my siblings. They have their own platforms to tell their own stories. This is me telling mine. But as a believer, of course, I know that miracles are real. And growing up in the Pentecostal Holiness Church, of course, we're on fire, and we were trained to believe miracles. I've seen miraculous things happen coming up in that type of faithful environment. But it's different when it happens in your own household. It's different when it happens to someone very close to you. It's different when it happens to you. And every time that I saw my mom on the brink of death and witnessing God bring her back to us, it did something for my faith. It took my faith in God to another level, because I was seeing what most other people could only read in scripture. Well, other people were reading about what Jesus was doing by touching and healing. I was actually seeing him do it right before my eyes. I was there when the doctors were saying they could not break the 104-degree fever over a period of a few days. And my mother was actually laying in a bed of ice, literal a bed of ice, when she was turning gray. And they were afraid that this was going to literally fry her brain. I was there when her body was shutting down. And they said there's only one shot that she has at life, but the shot that we're going to give her is most likely going to kill her, because her body is not healthy enough to take it. But if we don't do anything, she'll surely die. And our option, because our mother is such a fighter, give her the shot, because if she could speak for herself, she would want a fighting chance to live. And we saw God work through the shot, and Mama came back, was out of ICU the next morning and talking to us. We've seen things like this happen so many times, and each time it wasn't just that God did it, but it was the way that Mama handled it that spoke to me and my faith just as loudly as the miracle itself. Mama exemplified faith. Yes, I did see fear in her eyes a couple times. Anybody would fear when your life is in danger. But each time that it happened, Mama got progressively less and less fearful and more faithful. The way she handled it, the way that she would come out of it and tell her story. When I tell you that she would tell her story like nobody else could tell it, of course, we can tell it from our perspective, but she was the one who was laying there being the recipient of these medical procedures. When we thought that Mama was totally unconscious and couldn't hear everything, she could hear. And she was telling us how she was trying to communicate to us, telling us, no, don't be crying over me. Don't be, no. I wish y'all could hear me. I wish you could see me. I'm fighting. Mama could tell that story. She could tell, the way that the Lord was talking to her and the angels were ministering to her while she was unconscious to us, but very active in her own consciousness, very active in the way that the Lord was ministering to her in his own way. And this bred faithfulness to me in a way that I don't think I would have grown without it. And that was one of her many contributions to my life and to my faith walk. God used my mother as a vessel to display his grace, his power, and his love through the miracle of healing and deliverance. He answered our prayers. He answered our prayers. Even in the end, to be quite honest with you, our prayer was for Mother to be relieved. Whether he decided to heal her on this side or the other side, either way, we didn't want Mama to suffer anymore. And the Lord answered our prayers. And I preached a sermon about that after the last miracle, because all those who received miracles in the Bible, all of them died a natural death, right? All of them died to the flesh. None of them remain, right? All of them died. Even when Lazarus was called out of the grave, he eventually had to enter another one. Even the man whose coffin Jesus touched as they were headed out of the city, yes, he did get up out of the coffin, but eventually he returned to another one. All of us have been apportioned to die, right? So we know that even though he gives us miracles, it's just a glimpse of what things shall be. But even after that last miracle, he's got one more up his sleeve. And that's the miracle of the transformation of the mortal into immortality and of the corruptible flesh into the incorruptible realm to be in his presence. And he did that. He allowed us to witness that transformation of my mother. And it was an amazing thing to see. After all of those miracles that she was a recipient of, the last miracle of grace, which was to relieve her of that diseased body that had nothing left to fight with. Everything that God had given her to fight with had been used up. And after there was no more weapons to use to war on this side, he relieved her of her earthly duty and called her to home in his presence. And we're thankful. Well, while she was here, God used her mightily to display to me something that I can preach and teach today. And that is that God is still a miracle worker. I can tell you because I've seen it with my own eyes. He brought mother from the brink of death so many times. So many times. Mama in 2008, October 2008, had the absolute worst type of aneurysm. She survived it by the power of God. Had coils put on the stem of her brain. A year later, those coils began to fall off. She had to be recoiled. A year later, survived that. I could go on and on and on about her medical challenges, kidney disease, congestive heart failure, lupus, the back surgeries, the leg surgeries, all the things that were going on with her, the chronic pain, the suffering, the dialysis, all the stuff that was going on with her liver. Mama was on all kind of medications, all kind of surgeries, all kind of therapies. And let me tell you, she was on prayer lists all around the world. Mama has been prayed for in so many different nations and so many different languages. It has been amazing. And we saw God answer our prayer. He gave us more time that we asked for. He did bring her out of pain when we asked him to. He did that. And I have no problem with our God. He answered our prayers even up until the end. But as I'm saying to you, one of the major contributions that Mama made to my life was her demonstration of how to stand faithful and trust God even when your life is on the line. And each time that it looked like Mama was out of here, she never gave up. Mama held on to her faith, believing that God was going to deliver her, believing that God was going to heal her. And he did every single time. Even there were times that we were just thinking that there's just nothing else left. Mama always knew God had another miracle in store. And he did it. He did it. It wasn't until the very end, at this very end, this time, my mama said, I'm tired and I'm ready to go home to be with Jesus. And at that point, as far as I was concerned, there was no need to bombard heaven for any more miracles on this side, as far as I was concerned. I'm not going to speak for the rest of the family. But when I heard Mama say, I'm tired and I'm ready to go be with Jesus, that was enough for me. At that point, I just didn't want Mama to suffer anymore. I know some of you may have had time to have this finality with your loved one like we did with our mother. We had time to say farewell. See you later. We had time to give her flowers and give her kisses. We had time for her to give us final instructions, and she did. We had time to sit with her and laugh with her and be with her before she got so sick that she couldn't laugh anymore. We had time to wait on her hand and foot and meet her every need and desire before she lost the ability to communicate. And I know some of you did not have that opportunity. Some of you, the death came so sudden and so unexpectedly. But let me say this to you. Let me encourage those of you who may need some encouragement. While your loved ones are here, none of us have a guarantee that we're going to get a forewarning of their last days, their last moments. Love them the best that you can. Appreciate them the best that you can. Express yourself to them. Display kindness. If there's any strife, if there's anything in the midst of you two that are keeping y'all apart, resolve it. There's nothing so egregious that it cannot be resolved if you want it resolved. If an apology is what's needed, apologize. If forgiveness is what's needed, then forgive. But don't let anything get in the way of you loving your loved one. You don't want them to slip away and you have regrets. I don't have any regrets with my mother. Everything that needed to be communicated was communicated. Everything that needed to be given was given. Everything that needed to be said was said. And I'm all right with that. And so live each day with your loved ones like it's the last. We don't know when we kiss them goodbye for the evening or for that visit. We don't know when it's going to be the last time. We need to love our friends like that. We don't know when it's going to be the last time. We don't know. We need to be peacemakers. All right. Lovers of peace and peacemakers. I don't want to argue. I don't want to have strife. I know that sometimes we have disagreements, but that doesn't mean we have to be disagreeable. So let me encourage you to love one another, appreciate one another, cherish one another. Here I am remembering my mama. And I remember those very valuable lessons that she taught me. And she lives on through the lessons. These lessons have already been passed on to my children. The 2 grandchildren that I have, those lessons are already being passed on to them. I'm still passing on to them that which was passed to me from my mama. She lives on through what she taught us. And I'm so grateful. I say again, I'm 53 years old. I got 53 years with my mama. Some people didn't get that. And so I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the 75 years of life that she had. And she was such a contributor to so many people. Counselor, friend, mentor, sister, mother, grandmother, great grandmother, friend, man, confidant, spouse. Mama was so many things to so many people, and she did it effectively, and she did it with honor and with grace and with a great deal of integrity. This is the finality of this portion, the greatest love story journey, son to mama, trying to tell the greatest love story ever told from a son to and about his mama, and hoping that I'm helping you heal from significant loss along the way. All right. I thank you. I'll be back soon as I get motivated to tell part 4. God bless you until then. Bye-bye.